Hi everyone. So for this service, I decided to give a testimony of our blessing activities. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, Tomoko couldn't be here today because she was in the Bay Area and she was helping some other activities for Kodan, and she took someone to the airport at like 3:40 this morning, so she was a little exhausted when she got back. So anyway, over the past couple of years, our true mother has been saying the main goal for our church is 430 couples blessing. So the first thought for me was, that's impossible. How can we reach out to 430 couples and bless them? So for Tomoko, who is a determined woman for God's providence, said, True Mother said it, so it must be possible. And we will go out trying different ways until it is accomplished. And then we have to educate 43 couples to become true families, fulfilling the 5 stages of the marriage blessing. Oh boy. I suppose it's like eating an elephant, one mouthful at a time. But the more mouths, the quicker it will be done. So Tomoko listened to tribe.net, which is a lot of testimonies from people around the country on how they speak to people, locations where they try, like shopping centers, parks, door-to-door, swap meets, and markets, etc. So these are the 5 stages. A little difficult to read in detail, but you can probably get a copy online as well. So the first one is the holy wine ceremony. So we're quite familiar when a lot of our couples got blessed. You drink holy wine. And then the second one is holy water ceremony. And then the chastening ceremony. So I don't know if you remember the chastening ceremony, but usually it's involving a little physical activity as well. 40-day holy separation ceremony. And then the 5th one is the 3-day ceremony. So headquarters said if couples accept the first 3 points, so that's the holy wine, holy water, and chastening ceremony, they can be counted towards that blessing number, 430 couples. So that was our goal. First of all, we had to get qualified for officiating. And that took a while. So after 36 years of trying to find a photo and prove our blessing date, but then finally we managed to get that. And then online you had to get the right order of the blessing, but I didn't know you had to click on it and then move it to the position, so I wasn't sure how to do it. But finally someone explained how to do it, and then we got certification, and then we started. So of course you had to invest in juice cups and multiply holy water and so forth. And Tomoko made paper cranes, and then also gave Japanese fans to bless couples. Anyone heard of Daiso?
Yeah.
It's a Japanese wholesale place, right? Well, they did quite well off us. Tomoko went out with Mrs. Takagi at times. She was not working during the week. And I went with her on weekends, going door to door, visiting churches after our local service, and also to Land Park. We went door to door first, and it was hard to force myself to knock on doors and speak about marriage and families at first. But then the thought came to me that these were God's children originally, but have been driven away from God, their Father, for thousands of years of Satan's control. And our job is to trust and support true parents. So true parents, Reverend and Mrs. Moon. And to restore them back to God. So in April 1990, Reverend Moon spoke about the conscience. It's page 822 in Pyongyang, that the precious and lifelong teacher, the conscience, has been trampled on by the body. It speaks out for your benefit, trying to connect you to true love, and tries to purge you to be good, unselfish individual. But within each person there's a rebel that always goes against the conscience. That rebel is the physical body. It has trampled on and abused the conscience miserably. So, me personally, I've been trying to live by my conscience, but it's not easy. And also trying to tell the truth and so forth. So sometimes Tomoko asks me, does this haircut does it look okay? I said, yes, Tomoko, it makes you look like a high school student. So anyway, through living for the sake of others and helping other people in many ways, it's always a fight against the body's desires. It's tired and hungry or sleepy and does not want to go door to door. But with Tomoko's encouragement, I pushed on. So maybe out of knocking on 10 doors, a lot of people may not be home. Maybe 2 out of 10 would actually answer. But even then, there were like single people, some people who didn't agree with traditional marriage. But right when you're ready to give up, this is a waste of time, then some couple will come and say, thank you so much for your hard work and dedication to raise up families. We accept the blessing, and it made the effort worthwhile. So going door to door, sometimes you'd come across some humorous decorations. Sometimes some placards. So, friends welcome, relatives by appointment. Anyway. So it's a little different from my experiences. I was in MFT in the 90s for about 6 years. And sometimes people hold a gun at you and threaten you and different things. But most responses going door to door were actually quite positive. So, jumped the gun a little bit there. So we went to Land Park on Saturdays and Sundays for months, sometimes trying other gatherings. Like one time, we went to an Indian powwow, and at the entrance I approached to pay, and then they stopped me. I suppose being light-haired with blue eyes, I didn't look much Indian. But then I introduced my wife, Tomoko, and they said, okay, no problem, $5 please. So I suppose she looked part Indian. So we only blessed 2 couples there, but we challenged our concepts and overcame shyness little by little. Like I mentioned, we also, after the service, we'd go to churches, and this is Pastor Willoughby, and there's Reverend Banks and a couple other pastors that came last year to one of the prayer breakfasts. So the way we met him, years ago we met one pastor, Bruner, and we built a relationship with them, but then he passed on, and then Tomoko remembered the wife, and so she remembered where that wife lived, and then went to the wife, and she said, I remember you, Tomoko, which is surprising, and then she blessed her. Even though her husband passed away, you can have a rededication and bless them. And then she said, we still go to the same church, but it's a different pastor now. And this is Pastor Willoughby's church. So because of that connection, we could actually approach him. And what the wife is doing, she's an educator and she has a school helping in the community and raising them up. And also a lot of the students' parents are living in cars or really poor. And so this is like one of the only places where they can get a meal. And so anyway, I gave a couple $100 for them to support the meal project there. And this year, Saturday, the 12th of January, I had lunch with them. And then they agreed to put on a blessing in their church on February 16th with about 10 or so couples expected. So after that, then I just said, okay, I'll sponsor your church school program for a year. So then I gave him $300 towards $1,200 for the year. So it does cost something to bring people to God's side. So I hope God continues to support us financially as well. Anyway, getting back to the topic, people are a lot more comfortable in parks because they usually with their families, the children. So it's easier to approach them. So some people are having like family reunions, they have a barbecue in the park. Some people just come from Vacaville and other places because they like the parks. In Land Park seems to be less people. Now this is a Filipino couple. We were going door to door, and they were actually in their car. The car was running, and then we said, "Oh, sorry, we just wanted to give a blessing on the family." And they said, "Oh, okay." And then they switched off the engine and invited us inside, and then we explained what we're doing, and then we gave them the blessing. So it's not just, basically you can bless everyone. And so here, these are our neighbors in the next house next to us. So we approach the renters. We have a couple of rental properties, so we bless them. This is my broker. So they're Sikhs, but they are real estate brokers. And then sometimes Tomoko and I, we're into IPEC, having education programs and things like that. Of course, we also have to try and pray and have a God-centered attitude as well. Also, we have contacts with lots of other pastors. Like I mentioned, this is Pastor Banks. She's like 86 years old, but still, she used to be a nurse, but really helping out in many different activities, especially rights for colored people and trying to raise up people in her congregation. She has a small church, but she's quite influential. Pastor Sotero, a Filipino background. He was one of the pastors that went to Korea for the 172 pastors. Something went wrong because he got into Korea and then they said, "Oh, you don't have a proper visa," and then he had to turn back and come back to America. But very small church, but still he's quite dedicated and comes to prayer breakfasts and supports. Also years ago we had contact with Reverend Lee, Mylan Lee. He died maybe 5-6 years ago, but we made contact with their children and so we blessed the children and their families. This is my car mechanic, so I blessed him. And this is Christians in Commerce. So sometimes I go to Christians in Commerce meetings, and then they have like a swap meet and then some way to raise money for their programs. And so while there I said, "Okay, I bought something," and then I said, "Now I'm going to give you another blessing," and then we bless the people at the swap meet. So also going door to door, you meet all kinds of people. Here's a white Muslim lady. There's Buddhists, Sikhs, Muslims, many different people. And so we bless. It doesn't matter what race or religion you're from. Also, we have a lot of business contacts. So this is Paul Ujagar. Done quite a few inspections with him, and he's also family-minded, so he's done a lot. This is the pest inspector, George Webb. So we blessed him and his wife from Philippines. And those are her children from previous marriage, but they got blessed as well. Some Pacific Islanders, Tomoko met door to door. And of course it's you can't leave anyone out because everyone is a child of God. So even some old lady, we went to her house and we chatted and I gave her the blessing as well, even to her spouse in the spirit world. So again, the 5 main points is a holy wine, holy water, chastening ceremony, and 40-day holy separation period, and then the 3-day ceremony. So if you read the details on there, sometimes you realize, oh, okay, we blessed over 500 couples right now, because 1997, the 185 that we did bless and got a certificate for, that's added. So now we've got over like 500 blessed couples. So of course, it takes a lot of effort, and there's a couple other things that I was reading different things online, and one of them is let me have a look here. So, April 26, 1992, Blessed Families and Tradition. Reverend Moon says, what is the tradition which supports equality? The tradition of democracy, which calls for equality and brotherism, should be love itself. Love should be the center. We say we want equality, but can a man become equal to woman just like that? He goes on to say, man and woman think differently, not a little differently, but very differently. Man wants to go up, up all the way, all the time, and woman wants to come down to earth. Men, like unleashed horses, want to go out and run without limitations, whereas women want to control. Do you think these two types of personalities can enjoy freedom automatically? Only if one ingredient, love, is thrust in there. It always works. So, what's the tradition here in America? With individualistic ideal, love is not the real center of life. As a result of we see horrible things such as free sex, which is truly unthinkable. This is a result of complications within love. Free sex, drugs, AIDS, homosexuality. These things are America. Can you proudly say this is the tradition of America? Why are blessed families necessary? Blessed families, not only from America, but from Japan and anywhere else around the world, are the same. They hold the same traditions as blessed families. What is the difference between the average family out in the world and blessed families? Their tradition itself differs. Blessed families of the Unification Church are founded on a new, truthful tradition. It has the absolute criteria and standard, so it becomes true. True means it connects to the absolute value. God is the absolute being. And if we have absolute truth within ourselves, then we can be connected to God. So, an article by Gerald Flurry from Philadelphia Church of God in 2008, he was talking about why the Roman Empire fell. And he quoted Edward Gibbon's The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, written about 1776. He mentions 5 major causes that contributed to the fall of the Roman Empire. 1, breakdown of the family. 2, increased taxation. 3, insatiable craving for pleasure. 4, unsustainable buildup of armaments. And 5, decay of religion. Sounds very similar to USA, Europe, and England at this present time, don't you think? So I bring these things up to show these circumstances have been around for centuries. But not one person or country has found a solution. Of course, Jesus tried about 2,000 years ago to set a standard. And the Bible set a certain standard of morality, but no absolute standards. So there are still many different interpretations in over 1,000 different Protestant Christian denominations. But Reverend Moon has tried to unite all the religions using the family unit, the foundation of all societies, as the way to bring world peace. And we, sitting here, are part of that. We just don't understand our importance. Or the value of what Unificationist movement is all about. You all are children of God, and He's been using us as His voice, hands and legs, but mostly our heart and love for God's children. So Tomoko and I still have a lot of things to do in our lives. We're no different from you. But putting aside time to do blessings will raise up your life and affect others, hopefully in a positive way. So it appears Christine and Ryan have found some peace by joining us on Sundays. And this started last year in July, when Tomoko met them and blessed them. So we can see it is possible to bring new families to the Sacramento Valley Church, even when we cannot understand the value of our true parents' teachings and values in life. Many people are searching for a true standard to live by, and we have to overcome the demons within ourselves and just go forward step by step, believing in divine principle is not just for unificationists, but for the world. So I hope you can start reaching out to your friends and neighbors and give them the blessing, a new start on married life. And Tomoko and I are willing to help you if you need. So anyway, I just want to invite Ryan up just for a couple of minutes. And do you have any words to say about what happened when Tomoko gave you the blessing?
Hello, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Ryan Cowley, and next time you want me to talk, just tell me before I come, because I've been crying for the last 3 days. So but I still got a lot of love to share, and I'd like to go over how the blessing took place. So I opened the door, and there was 2 fine women at my door, and I looked them in their eyes, and then Tomoko took control of the reins, and she's like, "This is happening for you right now. Turn around. I got my pencil. You're being blessed. This is happening." And when it did happen, after we were done, me and my wife sat there, and we're just kind of like, well, what just happened? You know, what really just happened? And then we humbly realized the best thing that ever happened to our marriage has just taken place. The tree that we grew as a couple is now rooted in this church with love. And then I thought to myself, how am I going to go and own all my spiritual downfalls to these fine people at church? You know, I was in a lowly place. And me being an honest man, I came here and owned every last one of the things I was doing. I was using drugs. I was involved in porn and other things that weren't good, you know. And I had fallen due to my selfish, foolish pride. And I had to put it out there so everyone knew what they're dealing with, and so that it could be addressed. And so that I could realize what I had in this church. And once I did that, it made it easy for me to disperse it from my soul and my spirit. And I can't be more grateful for this position in my life that I'm in now, to not be judged, but to be loved. Selflessly, egotistically, and wholeheartedly, out of love. With nothing, there's no filter and nothing else involved, but just pure love. And that love is something that I cherish and I will never let go. With that being said, could I say a prayer? Okay. Oh God, the grand architect of the universe, our true parents, heaven and earth combined together to form our perfect loving God, I humbly thank you for this chance to speak today, and I ask us all to go out on that limb and remember where we came from, and put our egos aside and make time for those that are in that lowly place, so we could bring them up and see that love and that light come upon them, which is the greatest gift of all in humankind, is to see a person grow and come back from a place or go to a place they've never been. And I humbly say this in the name of the perfect example set forth before humankind, Jesus Christ. Amen.